Hello and welcome to Simple Country Place. I have 4 easy real life meal ideas for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Welcome and enjoy. So the first thing I'm making is actually a vegetarian situation, and it could just be a side, but I just served it as a meal. So I'm making broccoli cheddar stuffed baked potato, and the first thing I'm doing is just prepping the potato to get that in the oven. As you can see, that potato is huge. Like my hand, I'm like 5'8" and proportionate, I feel, and so I don't have like tiny little hands. And it was massive. So anyways, I just wanted to point that out. But I rubbed the potato with some olive oil, and then obviously I pierced it, and then I just put some salt on there, threw it in the oven and right on the rack, and got that going first. And so for the broccoli cheddar stuffing, I have melted butter that I'm adding flour to, making a roux, and then adding half and half like I usually do, and then letting that come together for a while. I added Colby cheese to this, and I actually had those little I had a block of cheese that I'd sliced up the day before for like a meat and cheese tray. I had a little bit of leftover of the Colby that was already cut, so instead of shredding it, I just crumbled it up into the pan there to melt, and it actually melted quite nicely. For seasonings, I added crushed red pepper, just a smidge, like not a lot, minced onion, and black pepper, and then I stirred that, let it come up on the stove, like occasionally mixed it and whatnot, and let the cheese melt. And like I said, a lot of people would probably just have this as like a side to like a steak or something. However, it was the potatoes were huge, and I felt like it would be a good meal, and for not very often do me and my husband have the same thing to eat, like totally. A lot of the times I'll just have like sides, or a lot of the times like he'll have the meal that I make, and I'll just make myself like a salad or whatnot. And we had the same thing, and I was like, you get a vegetarian meal today, and he was fine with it. He said it was super good and really filling, honestly. So it's not, he didn't miss the meat that much on this day. So once that potato was baked, I am just fluffing the insides, and then I did add some butter and fluff that around a little bit, and then I added the broccoli cheese sauce on top of it. I had pre-steamed the broccoli when I added it to the cheese sauce, so it was like already cooked. Once the cheese sauce came together, I added the steamed broccoli and just coated it, and then threw it over the baked potato, and I did top both of ours with a little bit more black pepper. Like I said, super good. I love baked potatoes. I love broccoli cheddar stuff. So I really, really liked this, and my husband enjoyed it too. On this day, I'm making like a double layer taco situation. So I have some flour tortillas, and then I'm just adding shredded cheese to, like the centers of each one, and throwing that in the oven just long enough for the cheese to melt. Once that cheese has melted, I have some hard shell tacos, or hard shells that I am like pressing in to the melted cheese. Like, so right out of the oven, grab the hard shells and then press them into the other like flour tortilla to kind of, the cheese acted like a glue. So they did stick together. Nicely. However, I did end up breaking, I think, 2 out of the 4 shells, but it doesn't really, who cares? It still tasted good. So once I had those all pressed, I had already previously made some taco meat. So I have some of that taco meat in there and then just added a little bit more shredded cheese. And then I just pan fried those on both sides very lightly. And the cheese, like all of the cheese got melty, and I served this with our favorite taco toppings, so lettuce, tomato, onion, and taco sauce. And both of the boys, my husband and my nephew, enjoyed this. It's not that much, obviously not that much different than just a regular taco, but like I've said before, I like to try different things, and I get sick of making the same stuff over and over. So my nephew was super excited. He walked in the door after work and I was like, I made tacos, and he's like, yes. He like immediately came to the kitchen. So on this night, I'm actually making BLTs, but I'm also making this vegetable soup as like a side. So I melted some butter and olive oil together in that big pot, and then I'm adding diced celery, carrots, green pepper, onion, and jalapeno, like a smidge, just like a small bit of jalapeno, and letting those veggies saute in the melted butter and olive oil. Once those have sauteed a little bit, I added some flour, again to make a roux, and let that cook for a little bit with in the veggies. And then I'm adding like a bunch of water, I think about like 6 cups, and then the same amount, 6 like bouillon cubes to make like a chicken broth. Once I had all those bouillon cubes added, I then added potatoes, broccoli, and cauliflower. And honestly, I just added like the vegetables that I had on hand. Like if I had other types of bell peppers, I probably would have added those. But I had all these vegetables, and it was like winter has finally arrived in the Midwest. We've had it pretty easy thus far. And so it was super cold. I was outside for a significant amount of time this day, and I was like just chilled to the bone. And so when I got home, all I wanted was soup. And I knew my husband and nephew would want something extra, so I did make BLTs to go with this, but all I had was soup, and it was super good. But for seasonings, I did add pepper and garlic powder at this point, and then I just covered this and let this it came up to a boil, turned it down, and let it simmer until the potatoes were fork tender, and as well as like the cauliflower and broccoli. Once that occurred, I wanted like a creamy aspect, so I had like a little bit of a block of cream cheese, and so I added that in, and then some half and half, and let that come together, let the cream cheese melt. I also added, again, just some like cubed up cheese that I had in the fridge from that meat and cheese tray that I made, and then a bit more pepper. And as you can see, it did like separate a little bit. However, the flavor was there. And like I said, I served that with the BLTs for the boys, and then I just had the soup with some extra shredded cheese on top. I will say, making this again, which I will because I love vegetable soup, I would either eliminate or significantly cut down the amount of jalapeno, which I did not put a lot in, but it was pretty spicy. So on this night, I'm making like a 1-pan potatoes and sausage thing. And so I have like 3 red potatoes. I'm just cubing those up. And then I'm also going to be cutting up some carrots, green pepper, and onion into like larger chunks, not like super small, just larger like chunky vegetables. I was pretty busy this day, so I wanted to make something that was like really easy, and honestly this was like cutting up the vegetables was what took the longest. And then I was able to multitask once I got it into the oven and do other things. So once I have those all cut up, I added some olive oil. And then for seasonings, I added Italian seasoning, Lowry seasoned salt, a bit of chipotle pepper powder, and then parsley and just some black pepper. And I mixed that all around, coated everything really good, and then I put that in a baking dish. Like, this could be a sheet pan meal. However, I just put it in a baking dish because I was just making this, like, I wasn't hungry, so I was just making this for the boys, and they can't eat an entire sheet pan worth of food, so I was trying to like not be wasteful. And so I put it in a smaller dish, and it was the perfect amount. I did not have one single drop left, so that was good. Once that's all mixed around, like I said, I just threw it in that dish, and then I covered it and put it in the oven. I put this in first, and then probably about like 15 minutes or so, took it out, and then added the cut up brats is what I use, but you could use kielbasa or sausage or whatever you prefer. So I cooked this first, let like the potatoes and veggies cook a little bit. Potatoes and carrots, they take a while. And then took it out, added the sausage. I did not even add more seasonings. I just mixed the brats around with what was already in there, covered it back up, and then cooked it again for like an additional like 15 minutes. And this was just a one dish meal, and both of my boys really liked it. And like I said, easiest meal of the week. Thank you so much for watching. Please come back for future videos.